I am here today because 100,000 of you have clicked the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, and that is just absolutely insane. So I wanted to start by just saying a massive, massive thank you to everyone that has clicked subscribe and everyone that even hasn't, that's just been supporting me by watching my videos. I am so incredibly lucky to be able to do this for you guys and myself because I just love doing this. I love making YouTube videos, and seeing the support that I get from you guys really makes it all worth it. So again, a massive thank you to everyone that supports me. So to celebrate, I asked you guys to send me any questions you have about myself, and I got way more responses than I thought I would, so I'm going to try to go through them rapid fire to try to get through them as fast as possible. But before that, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. Ridge makes these super high quality minimalist wallets that hold both cards and cash, and there's plenty of room for everything. As you can see, I got the black Damascus one. It's so sick. I love the color and I love the pattern. I've been using it for a couple weeks now, and it is so much better than my old bulky wallet. It's so sleek and it fits in your pocket easily. It is really amazing. I also got the new key case. This thing is actually super useful. You put your keys in it and you can kind of just flick them out and you can know which one you're looking for, so it makes it way easier. But above all that, it also just looks sick. So right now you can get the best offer with the link ridge.com/blooms, and you can save up to 40% through December 22nd. Again, that is ridge.com/blooms, and you can go get one of these awesome wallets or key cases, and thank you to Ridge for sponsoring this video. So, first question from my boy Rusty Nails. If you were to explain how much you like each of the four main characters of South Park based strictly on the kind of hug you would give them when you met them, what are they each getting? Wow, what an insane question. So, Cartman, at the most, he's getting a fist bump. Like, I'm extending my arm and kind of just giving him a fist bump. I don't even think I'm giving him a hug. Stan is definitely getting your more standard hug, just quick little hug, tap on the back maybe, and then move on. Kyle's definitely getting a more solid hug. I feel like I'd probably give him like a solid 3 to 4 seconds, so a good tight squeeze, And Kenny is 100% getting a solid bear hug. I'm holding on to that thing for a little while. I'm gonna let him know, maybe tell him, I'm here for you, man. Don't worry about it. I know what you've been through, so yeah. All right, and then Aaron asked a big question. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but basically it says, what's my favorite episodes based on the category of the episode? So for political commentary episode, I think my favorite would actually be Banned in China, which I know is kind of a sleeper hit, but that episode is just perfect. They hit the nail on the head with all the commentary that they wanted to make, and it is just a hilarious episode. Religious allegory episode, it definitely has to be Margaritaville. Even though the episode isn't really about religion, it's about the economy. The way they just did the parallel between Jesus and Kyle and all that stuff, that episode was just fantastic. For social commentary, it might actually be a tie between Goobax and With Apologies to Jesse Jackson. They're kind of the same idea, but applied to different topics, and both of them are just so perfect in what they were trying to say. They execute it perfectly. And then social fad episode, it has to go to Stupid Spoiled Horror Video Playset. I mean, I don't even know what I have to say, just that entire episode is just so absurd, and it is hilarious. So Seawitchy asked what I would like to see in the future seasons of South Park, and whenever I get this question, I always don't really know what to say because Matt and Trey are experts at giving us what we didn't know we wanted, so I kind of just leave it up to them, and I don't really want to put my own thoughts into it, so I let them decide basically. Okay, and Ethan Millward asked, what are your thoughts on the Cartman and Heidi arc? They're personally some of my favorite episodes. So while I do appreciate those episodes for just how in-depth they go into the relationship between Heidi and Cartman, I do kind of find them hard to watch, as I said in that video, so they're not my favorite episodes, but I do still appreciate them. So this is a question I actually get a lot. Jimbo asks, what was your first experience with South Park? Now, I had heard of South Park when I was a young kid. Obviously, all those big shows people at school would talk about, like South Park and Family Guy and that kind of stuff. But I never actually watched South Park until about 8th grade, and that's because that was around the time that PewDiePie actually released his first gameplay of The Stick of Truth. And I watched that and I was like, man, this is funny. I need to watch this show. So in 8th grade, I binged the entirety of the show up to that point. And after this, I actually took a break from the show for a couple of years. And then around mid-high school, I started watching it again and it reignited my love. And here we are. So Alex007 asks, what do you think of Kenny slowly being less prevalent in the show? So I've actually said my opinion on this before. I love Kenny so much, and I think it's sad that he is slowly being kind of phased out of main character status in the show. I like that they still do try to include him, but I just wish they included him a little bit more. His presence always just kind of provides like a feeling that the other characters don't provide, so I wish he was in the show more, but I get why they don't include him. Alright, and Emmy Grant asks, which would be your South Park comfort episodes? It's funny you ask that because I may or may not have plans for a video related to this topic, But to give a brief answer to your question, I would say my all-time comfort episode is probably something like Guitar Queero. I don't know why something about that episode has always been so comforting to me. I think it has to do with the use of Carry On Wayward Son as like the backing track throughout the episode, and the overall just story arc that it kind of feels like a mini movie. I don't know. I just love that episode, and it is a personal comfort episode. And then Jada Kaiser asked, do you feel like there's a concept that could have been great for a South Park to tackle, but they never did, and now it's kind of too late? If so, what did they miss the boat on? You know, if you asked me this question a couple weeks ago, I would have said the Kanye stuff, because I love Kanye in South Park, and it was the perfect opportunity to include him again. But with his recent actions, I would say now is a better time than ever, so I would like to see that. But something I do think they missed the boat on was the Jussie Smollett, if that's how you say his name, that whole controversy that he had. I think that would have made for an incredible South Park episode, so I'm a little disappointed they never tackled that. And Persona Fan Man asks, what are your thoughts on the South Park fandom and how they portray the characters? Oh gosh, you're just trying to get me canceled on Twitter, aren't you? You know, as is the case with any fandom, I think there are a lot of people that take it a little too far within the fandom. I'd say for the most part, the fandom is cool, and I don't really mind this kind of stuff, but again, as is with any group, there's going to be the people in it that are a little too extreme and a little too into the thing that they're into, but I'd say overall, it's a pretty good fandom. Fatal Gecko 58 asked my opinion on the Stick of Truth and the Fractured But Whole, and which one I would have to choose as my favorite. So I was actually a guest on a podcast called Analog Sticks, and they asked me my full opinion on both of these games, so if you want to hear about that, go ahead and check that video out. Zeke the Warrior 2 says, if you had to take an educated scientific prediction, which of the 4 main boys do you think has the longest overall screen time? So without even thinking about it, it definitely has to be Cartman. Like, I can't really see it being anyone else, yeah, it's Cartman. Jacob L asks, which character do you think is the most morally right and most morally wrong in the entire series? So morally right, I think it either has to be Butters or Kenny. I want to almost lean towards Kenny because Butters has done a lot more questionable things, I think. And morally wrong, I think the obvious answer would be Cartman. However, I do think there's a close second in Mr. Garrison. Formulacer asks, what is my favorite season of South Park? So there is an easy answer for this, and that is definitely season 8. So many of the episodes in this season are in my S tier, and even the worst episodes in this season still lean towards the higher end when it comes to ranking. I mean, Good Times with Weapons, Passion of the Jew, F in the A, Awesome Mode, Jeffersons, Goobacks, Douche and Turd, Woodland Critters Christmas, Cartman's Incredible Gift. I mean, it is literally some of the best episodes in the entire series all in one season. So Juggalo Panda asks, would I consider doing these types of videos for other animated shows? And of course I have. I plan on doing that eventually. I have a lot of ideas for South Park lined up, but I will make other videos, so yeah, that's coming soon. Mr. Haterman says, what is the funniest, best, or favorite joke you've ever heard in South Park? So when I'm asked this question, one joke always comes to mind, and it's probably not actually my favorite joke, but it's the first one that comes to mind whenever I'm asked this question. I don't know why, but this is it.
Hey, Panda Bear, we don't take kindly to your types in here. I want to know something from Mr. Panda Bear here. If you pandas are from mountainous areas of China and Tibet, how come you eat bamboo, which is prone to grow only in drier, more arid regions?
So MT18 asks, what is my favorite Kenny death? And this is actually a really good question because I've never thought about it, but I think it's probably this one.
Oh my god, I killed Kenny! You bastard!
Alright, Craig wants to know if I like watermelon. So weirdly enough, I actually don't like watermelon. It's kind of just like, I mean, I don't dislike it. It's just kind of like water and like a little bit of like sweetness. I don't know, not a fan. All right, Juliet Cornelis asks, who are some musicians you like besides Daft Punk? How did you know I like Daft Punk? What is your favorite BoJack episode? So when it comes to music, Daft Punk for me is like way better than everything else. Like that is like S tier, everything else is like A tier. But if I was choosing other musicians, I literally listen to every genre. So I would have people like My Chemical Romance, Kanye, although maybe not as much anymore, but his music is still good. I actually really like the direction that Lil Nas X is taking pop music. But yeah, that's really it, I guess. And then favorite BoJack episode, easily Free Churro. I mean, there's just no other episode that's like that, and it is just perfect. All right, so this person says they've never watched South Park, but they binge my videos anyways because they're entertaining. I appreciate that. And they ask, do I enjoy cooking and what's my favorite dish to make? I actually do enjoy cooking. I'm not very good at it, I will say, but I do like cooking. I think my favorite dish to make while cooking is just a really nice like ribeye steak. I also make a good like lemon garlic salmon, so yeah. All right, Jonathan Klein asks, are you satisfied with having the video that pulled you over 100K being a detailed overview about the history of fecal matter size competitions? Well, Jonathan, I have absolutely no regrets about that. T918 The Blade asks, why do you absolutely hate Pip so much? Now, I'm going to answer this honestly and say I actually don't really hate Pip that much. I mean, obviously, he's not my favorite character, but it all started with my ranking every South Park episode video, in which every single comment was about the fact that I didn't understand literature and I'm just an idiot for not knowing that the episode Pip was a parody of Great Expectations. So the combination of my hatred for that episode, along with everyone telling me that I'm an idiot because I didn't understand it, kind of jaded me, and now every time I see Pip, I am just reminded of that, so yeah. So Movie Fandom asks me what my favorite movie is. Now, I don't actually watch a lot of movies. I've been trying to get into it recently and trying to watch more movies. But if I had to pick from the ones that I've seen, I think Interstellar is probably one of my favorites. I'm more of a horror genre fan, so movies like The Shining and Hereditary are probably my favorite in those categories. And A Clockwork Orange is another one of my favorites, so all around, those are kind of my top picks. Captain Big Bacon asks if I have ever been recognized in real life. And actually, yeah, I have. Chances are anyone watching this video has recognized me before, because you can kind of just go outside and like look around in the grass and eventually you will see me, so yeah. Alright, so K-Dan asks my favorite South Park ship. So easily my favorite ship in South Park is definitely Tugger. He's such a cute little boat. Oh, you mean, oh, she meant like relationship. Oh. Well, I'm an adult, okay? I don't do these little ship games, okay? Gosh. But Tweak and Craig are pretty cute, so. So Sean Robinson asked, did you ever think that you would get this many subs on YouTube? And I know most YouTubers will say, oh, you know, I never expected to get this big, like this is also such a surprise to me. But for me personally, as someone who grew up watching YouTube and trying to understand how YouTube works, I know it sounds insane, but I've kind of always just assumed I was going to be a YouTuber. Like, even since I was a kid, I was always just like, yeah, I'm excited for when I'm a YouTuber. It was never really a question of if I was going to be a YouTuber, it was when. So to say I'm surprised would be a bit misleading. I've kind of always expected it, but I will say I am absolutely amazed by all of your guys' support, so I appreciate that. Alright, so ConCon99 asked what my favorite video that I've ever made is. So honestly, it has to be the history of the largest crap. Now, I know that this video didn't do that well. I'm sure a lot of you haven't even seen it, but this video is truly a masterpiece. I put so much effort into it, and it is just, I think it's pretty hilarious, so I recommend you check it out. Alright, the classic question from Cheese Prince says, what do you think of Family Guy as a South Park fan? So I actually don't mind Family Guy. I think it's a funny show. I've seen a few episodes. Their approach to comedy is very different from South Park. So it really ends up being one of those shows that you can just throw on and kind of forget about it while you're watching it and just kind of zone out and laugh at dumb things. And that's kind of the whole point, and I can appreciate that. So yeah. Jason asked what my favorite non-alcoholic version of alcohol is. I assume he means cocktail. And to answer that, my favorite non-alcoholic cocktail is a virgin vodka water. All right, and Ramadiz asked why I am a flower man. What inspired my avatar and channel name? So I get asked this question all the time, and the answer is that back when I used to play PS4, all my friends used to make fun of me because my gamer tag was like had numbers in it and it had my name in it, and it just wasn't good. So I decided that I needed to come up with a username that would just be OG, like no one had taken it, but it's like one word. So while I was typing random words into the PlayStation create an account thing, obviously Blooms was already taken, so then I just decided to add an ER to the end, and then I got Bloomser, and that account worked. So I had the account Bloomser on PlayStation. So then when I made my YouTube channel, I just shortened it to Blooms because I thought that sounded better. And then I decided it would be funny to make my profile picture a flower since my name is Blooms, you know, blooming flower. And then I decided later to take that picture of a flower I had and turn it into an actual character. So I asked someone on Fiverr to take this picture that I gave them and put it as the head for a guy wearing a black hoodie. And that's how I got it. Alright, so Mr. Jubb asks, do I write my videos word for word, or do I write a little script but mainly improvise as you know what you're going to talk about? So for the most part, I actually write my videos word for word. For some reason, I am very, very bad at improvising and thinking of stuff to say on the spot. For example, this Q&A video is unscripted, and it has taken me forever to answer every single question because I keep messing up. So it also just depends on the vibe of what I'm saying. So if I want something to seem improvised, then I will often try to improvise it on the spot and just do it over and over again until I get the take right. So yeah, but for the most part, everything is pretty much written. All right, Mr. Waffle asks, how long is your right big toe? So I'm pretty sure you're the guy that asked me in my 10K Q&A how long my right index finger is. And I did show it in that video, but unfortunately for all of you, I'm not letting the dogs out, at least not for free. So yeah, but I did measure it actually, and it is 2.75 inches, which do with that information what you will. Honestly, I think that's pretty big. I think anything above that would honestly just be too big. Like it's really like, some people would say that's small, but I think that that's like pretty huge. Like I think it's unfair to say that, 3 inches or less is like really small, I mean, that's probably like average, I think, at least. So yeah. All right, Hello asks, do I have any major interests / hobbies outside of YouTube? Also, do you know the Muffin Man? Of course I do know the Muffin Man. Outside of YouTube, I like to play video games. Obviously, as you can see, I've played a lot of Rocket League. I think my biggest interest in the sporting world is probably UFC and MMA. I love to watch UFC, so yeah. Let's Talk Fiction asks, hey, I'm a new viewer, so you might have already answered this at some point, but why did you start your YouTube channel? So I did answer this in my 10K subs Q&A, but I'll answer it again. So essentially, I've always loved South Park, and I find it hard to explain to people why I love South Park so much. At least in person, I'm really bad at communicating with people and getting my point across through words. But whenever I can write something and like make sort of like an essay out of it, I'm pretty good at getting my point across, or at least what I want to say. So I wanted to do that with South Park, and I decided to make the first video on this channel, which is why South Park is the greatest comedy ever. And from there, the rest is history. All right, and then finally, the Crusher of Skylands asked, do you think 100K is worth a face reveal? Now, I did a poll a little while ago and asked you guys if you would even want a face reveal, and the majority of you did want a face reveal, but I'm just not sure if I really want to do one yet. It's really a tough decision to make, but actually, you know what? Never mind. Let's just do the face reveal. Okay, let's just do it. All right, I'm trying to set up the camera right now. Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work. This is probably kind of how Dream felt. I'm kind of like Dream, actually. We're both super popular. Shout out to the Ridge, by the way. This cool hat. I like this a lot. Okay, I'm just stalling at this point. All right, let me finish setting up the camera. Well, here I am, getting a nice ray of sun here. Feels nice. I'm photosynthesizing right now, so yeah, feels good. Feels good to finally get myself out there for you guys. I'm glad you could finally see me in my true form, and I hope this doesn't change anything. So